What's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. And today I kind of have a little bit of a smorgasbord of different tiers of the kingdom things that I want to talk about and a little bit more. I'm 60 hours plus in myself, and I kind of wanted to convey everything. That's why I'm on camera today. I'm usually not on camera unless you watch my live streams, but I kind of wanted to get that flavor to the people that watch my regular videos talking about Tears of the Kingdom all the time. I read the comments. You guys are insane, man. You guys are so great with your comments and everything, so thank you guys so much for that. But I'm 60 hours in myself, and I wanted to talk about some of the strengths of what this game really does well, a few different things, but also get into a little bit of a nagging, I wouldn't say controversy, but thing that I think is absolutely silly with Tears of the Kingdom and what some people say in terms of why this game is so good. It's ridiculous in my opinion. But before we get into that, guys, we do have a giveaway going down right now for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. If you want to enter in to win, all you got to do is subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, notification bell, check out the link in the description below, go vote on your favorite power on the community page and drop a comment on there, and I will pick one random winner by June 1st. So as of the time that I'm recording this video, you got a little bit more time to enter in, but don't worry, even if you're watching afterwards, we're gonna have more giveaways, more stuff going down. So just make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, and of course stay tuned to that community page because we always announce the giveaways on there, then it'll be in the videos. But let's go ahead and get into the topics here when it comes down to The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. So once again, I'm 60 hours plus in, and this game is incredibly strong in so many different areas. It is a massive improvement over The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now, I knew that it was going to be big. I was one of the first people that put out this game is going to make The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild look like a tech demo. And if you look at it in its totality, with no spoilers here, because I'm not going to spoil anything, it does kind of make Breath of the Wild look like a tech demo, or like the very basic beginning of a foundation of what they're going to do. They've improved so many different aspects when it comes to the physics and what you can do, the manipulation of the environment. When it comes to the combat options, the fuse mechanic literally creates thousands or more of different combinations, different experimentation with combat before you were able to use magnesis and use different abilities in order to traverse and get around. But with Ultra Hand and with Ascend and with Fuse, the combination of abilities and what you can do, whether you're fighting against enemies, freestyling it yourself, or just fighting outright normally, is absolutely incredible. And I'm not even great at the game. I'm still learning to do different types of things in terms of fighting the flux enemies or fighting different ones, but people have been creating all sorts of crazy combinations and ways to fight enemies super stylish that makes Breath of the Wild look like child's play at times. So I love the fact that they added in all of those things. I think that the gameplay loop is quite possibly the most addictive gameplay loop for a Nintendo first party game that I have ever played. I've seen people, not just myself, people put 200 hours into this game already, like it's their full-time job. I've got people on my friends list that have over 100 hours easy. So in my opinion, there's been no previous Legend of Zelda game that would be able to create that much gameplay and different things for you to do, not just replaying or grinding a certain boss in an RPG or something, but actually exploring, doing different things, doing different quests, collecting different resources, solving different problems, doing different shrines. There are so many aspects that make this game dynamic, that create so many gameplay opportunities, whether you're just messing around and wanting to create something awesome or actually playing through the game. There is so much content, meaningful content and fun content and tinkerers content packed into this game. You never want to stop playing. Once you start and you start mapping out the depths, or once you start going into the sky islands, or once you start creating something, it just creates this dopamine in your brain that says, I need to do one more thing, or I need to create one more thing over here. Oh, I need to collect these resources. That was the biggest issue that I had before with previous Zelda games. It wasn't like you could play them like crazy. You can play them and you can get through them, you can speedrun them, but it was always going to be essentially the same experience in terms of how you solve a puzzle, how you go through the game. that was the aspect with previous Zelda games. And I think they tried to get away with that a little bit with certain games like A Link Between Worlds and also Wind Waker, but I think that Breath of the Wild, starting out first, but especially Tears of the Kingdom with the creation aspect, allows for everybody to have a different experience when it comes to solving puzzles, when it comes to doing shrines, when it comes to navigating the open world. Nobody is really truly going to play the same, which that creates a replay value. That creates different things that you can do in the game in order to make fun or just simply have fun as you solve everything yourself. And I think that's what Tears of the Kingdom brings to the table that a lot of the previous Zelda games didn't bring, and why Zelda is now considered one of the top echelon when it comes to sales in the series. I think that sales have always been interesting with Legend of Zelda because it's been up and down depending on the game that you're talking about. You have lows like Wind Waker and Skyward Sword, but then you have pretty good highs like Ocarina of Time or Twilight Princess, and then you have Breath of the Wild that absolutely smokes all of them because they decided to kind of go bigger scope and give people more control in terms of how they play, where they go, and what happens. And I think that Tears of the Kingdom takes that to the next level. It's just so much bigger and better than before. But I want to get into one of the main topics of this video, and that is the nonsense that I hear sometimes, and I wanted to talk about it. I've discussed it before with certain people or certain tweets that I've called out, but it's also happening too with some of the big players when it comes to writers and stuff like that, where some people feel that there's some type of nostalgia attached to Legend of Zelda, that if it didn't have that Legend of Zelda name, that all of a sudden it wouldn't be as good of a game and people wouldn't like to play it. And I always find stuff like this ridiculous because it was a question that was posed on the Spawncast. I've heard it before on Twitter. I've heard it before in comment sections. There's been lots of stuff, but I think that it's unfair because would God of War be as good as God of War if it didn't have Kratos and the lore and the story there? Would any game that's established itself be as good as it was? And I think that the reason why I don't like that is because let's take a look at some of the other games that came over, like The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. Okay, that game originally had a 93 average on Metacritic. It comes back out and it's in the 80s, even though it runs better, it looks better, and it's presented better, and it also has a bunch of quality of life tweaks. It's a much better game overall. So then why didn't nostalgia carry The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword skyrocketing past what Skyward Sword did on the Wii? Where's all the nostalgia with that? Why isn't Skyward Sword, with all of its nostalgia, especially with that story and how people speak about that game, why did it not sell 10 million copies in 3 days like Tears of the Kingdom? What about Link's Awakening? Nostalgia there. A lot of people's first portable Zelda Game Boy experience. Why didn't that sell 10 million copies? Because that's what I hear. It's nostalgia. People are buying it because of that. No, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is a much better game than Skyward Sword. It's a much better game, in my opinion, than Link's Awakening, and it's better than a lot of the previous Zelda games because it gives you that ability of creation, it gives you that ability of freedom, and it gives you a world that you just want to keep playing. It's addictive. It creates new gameplay abilities and content, and it does things that many of the current open world RPGs, open world games don't do. How many of them have physics like The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom? How many of them can you even chop down a single tree in a AAA home console RPG? How many of them can you have realistic water physics and you can create different things from there, going on the water, going up into the sky, going down into the depths, and having it be essentially seamless? How many of the games out there do stuff like that? Many of them don't. Many of them are graphical showpieces, or they really want to just say, hey, look, we run at the best frame rate and resolution, and the gameplay maybe isn't up to snuff, and they're not adding in innovative new mechanics or things that this Tegra X1 Nintendo Switch is doing when it comes to the graphical powers of that system. So until I see a lot of these other open world RPGs, AAA console games implement a lot of the physics and different mechanics that Tears of the Kingdom does just on a base level, even going back to Breath of the Wild, I really don't want to hear any nostalgia or anything like that. I think it's completely BS at this point, and I think that it discredits what the team was able to do, which is why so many developers that have talked about The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom are pretty much shocked that they were able to get this game what it is, especially running and looking the way that it does on the Nintendo Switch, because this is by far, in my opinion, the most technically impressive game from an overall scope on the Nintendo Switch. What they're able to do tech spec wise, and also what they're able to do with the game, the physics, the mechanics, everything combined. It is literally a marvel, and that's why there's nothing else like it on the system, and why many other games, even on stronger hardware, don't even try to do that. Now, there are some, but it's not put together in many of the big console AAA open world RPGs or adventure games out there. But I do want to move over to one more thing here, guys. Is Tears of the Kingdom a lock for Game of the Year? Now, I'll probably have a bigger video about this once we get, later down into the year and more games are coming out. Now, as of the time that I'm recording this video, Street Fighter 6 just came out. It's getting fantastic reviews. It's at a 92 average so far on Metacritic. I think about a 91 on OpenCritic. Diablo also just came out recently, and that's doing really good with the high 80s Metacritic as well. Plus, we have other big games like Starfield, Final Fantasy 16, and potentially even Metroid Prime 4 that are coming out this year. And Metroid Prime Remastered has one of the highest scores of the year with a 94. Actually was the highest score before Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom came in with its 96/95. It's going back and forth when it comes to Metacritic and OpenCritic. So I think that Tears of the Kingdom right now, for me at this point, is a lock for Game of the Year. Resident Evil 4 also, I think that's high up there. There are a lot of phenomenal games that have came out this year, but right now Tears of the Kingdom is definitely the front runner. But we'll see how Final Fantasy 16 shakes out. I think that game is going to review very high. Not sure if it'll be as high as Tears of the Kingdom, but I think it will be up there in review scores. We'll see how Starfield does. But right now, Tears of the Kingdom definitely has the edge, to me at least. But what are your thoughts when it comes to everything that we discussed with Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom? Let me know in the comment section below. Also, make sure you enter into our giveaway once again. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and we will see you for the next video. Peace.